Greetings everyone, this is Force Nature of Top Tier Tips, and I welcome you to your prime spot for tips and tricks to help you level up at DOA6. Alright, in our last session we took a look at turtling, which is basically focusing your playstyle entirely around defense. In this session we're going to be taking a look at risk and reward. Alright, for every action that you take in DOA6, you need to think of the potential reward for doing so, and the potential risks from taking said action. For instance, if I were to just throw out a jab with Kasumi by just pressing P. Alright, right now it's -3 on block, so you can't really be punished at all for doing so. If you connected on counter hit, you're +2, so that's an advantage, so that means more Ps or more buttons on counter hit or whatever. So a P would be a very low risk action. I mean, if it gets blocked, the absolute worst that happens is that your turn is over. Except for the fact that the opponent has to respect the fact that you can do follow-ups. You can do PP, you could do PKK, PPP, so you get a lot of potential follow-ups that you can do after. And even if you get to the 5th P, you're at -6, which is also pretty much considered safe on block. So a jab is an incredibly low-risk option. Another low-risk option would be something like 2P. You're -4 when it gets blocked. +5 if it connects on counter hit, so if you interrupt something. And if you just hit normally, you're -1. And for Kasumi, that barely means anything because she has 9-frame jab, 11-frame elbow, and her low jab is 12 frames. So it just means that each move would become 1 frame slower, which for Kasumi barely means anything because of how fast she is. So a 2P is another very low-risk maneuver. For most characters, generally a P and 2P are very low risk moves. So especially in close range, you can throw these moves out pretty freely. But on the other hand, when you do hit the opponent, it barely does anything. Like a 2P does 5 damage, so most people probably don't even care if you get hit by a 2P. A jab, though, I mean, the only thing you really concern yourself with a jab is if it connects on counter hit, or even for instance, let's say high counter, where it can actually become really dangerous if you punch someone trying to throw you. But other than that, a jab and a 2P are great low risk, low reward moves. Another example of a low risk move poke that you can basically toss out is your elbow, your 6P, or your forward punch. Alright, you see right here, you're at -11 on block, so this is a little different to a jab or 2P. Now, if this is all you do is just elbow someone on block, you can be throw punished if the opponent calls you out on it. But like Kasumi and probably most characters, she could do more than just elbow. With her, a particularly good poke with her is forward punch kick. This move here is -11 on block, but that's kind of deceptive. Because let's say if the opponent, let's say they were to try and throw it. As you see right there, to throw would end up whiffing. So this is actually this is basically considered to be a safe on block move for Kasumi, for instance. No, not that move. This move right here, I mean, unless you do it right in front of a corner, then yes, you can get thrown for it. But then even this move has additional follow-ups, which are very delayable. So, as you see right there, for getting thrown for a 6B, you'll only get thrown if the opponent calls you out on your free cancel. So that's where delays and mix-ups come in really handy. So this move is really safe. But the thing about this move is when you connect the opponent on counter hit, so that means when you either intercept someone or you catch someone mashing at disadvantage and you give them a well-deserved elbow to the gut, you get +20. +20 is good. +20 is enough to be able to connect a follow-up launcher after that. So +20 is really nice. You can follow up with 3P also. So generally, compared to a jab or 2P, the opponent does not want to get hit by this. They do not want to get counter hit by 6P. So that's why, especially if you're playing a character that's faster than your opponent, let's say you have an 11-frame elbow or a 12-frame elbow, and the opponent's elbow is basically slower than it. Ione's is 13 frames. Then they have to basically respect that. So they have to account for it, so they can't try and toss out moves that are slower than this, or they'll get counter hit, for instance. Those type of characters will have to use jabs or 2Ps more often, or even Ks, in order to be able to try and keep the elbow in check. But yes, your elbow's really good. 3Ks are also, or whatever's your fastest mid-kick poke tends to be pretty good. Something like 3K for Kasumi is negative on block. It's minus 8, but it does have a follow-up. But this is another one, though, that if this is all you do, then you will eventually get throw punish for it, unless you can get it around, like, tip range where you'll be safe. But generally, fastest knee, faster elbow, like, great. They're still pretty low-risk, decent reward moves. Alright, moving up the ladder now, we're going to be looking at higher risk but higher reward related moves. As you can guess, these moves can launch. Alright, now an example. Let's say if I were to chuck out 3 PP or down forward punch with Ayane. On counter hit, it ends up launching the opponent, and you can get off a juggle off of it. You get pretty decent damage after doing so. However, if the move gets blocked, you are left at minus 14, and you could be full on strike punish for like doing so. I could like show you right now if I can like set this up. So what the hell I should do? I don't know. High kick. Let's see. So you can get kicked for free, and I cannot block that. So you can be fully strike punished or throw punished or anything if the opponent were to block that move. But if you end up connecting it, you get a full launch, even though I admit that's only on counter hit. Another move that's similar to that would be something like 4P plus K. When it connects on counter hit or like after a stun or anything like that, you can get off a full combo after doing so. So right there, I can set up this much damage for stunning the opponent, then connecting a 4P plus K. But same thing, if this move gets blocked, then same thing. You can get strike punished for doing so. And here I can just show you same thing. See, same there. I can get kicked. I can't block that. I'll also just give you like a little tip just to let you know with the way how frame advantage works in DOA. Alright, this is minus 9, but because it takes 5 frames to turn around and guard, it's treated as minus 14. So what that means is any 12 frame or faster move, because you have to add a couple frames for strike punishment, will be guaranteed punishment, in this case for minus 9 back turned. So Ayane has a lot of moves like this. This is like minus 19 back turn. She has a lot of moves that can leave her back turned in like very negative. So in general, someone like Ayane can be considered riskier than other characters. But when she does end up hitting the opponent, she can end up setting up like really big damage for doing so. So as you can guess, for playing a character like Ayane or kind of like other kind of like riskier type characters, the challenge with them, of course, is trying to play safely, and you have to try and be really careful with using like kind of like riskier moves. But now I'm gonna throw in another important element with regards to risk reward, and that is crush properties, which is a form of evasion. Like for instance, a high crush is a move that ends up goes under highs. A low crush, a move that goes over lows. In Ayane's case, her 1P is a really good high crush. It instantly high crushes. It's positive on normal hit. It has a follow-up, so you're basically not really going to be punished for doing so that much. So having a move like that, like a nice go-to high crush like a 1P, is really nice to have. All right, but but it's still considered to be this is basically a low risk, low reward move. All right, but for now. But now back to higher risk, high reward moves. Now, let's say when you're going through your character's move list, look for a good high crush launcher. This is basically a move that you basically could chuck out a lot of times if your opponent, for instance, is either using a lot of highs, or if they're like mashing at disadvantage, or they're trying to pressure you with slower moves. So right here's a 15 frame high crush. So the thing that makes this move a decent kind of go-to move, even though I know it's punishable, it beats out a lot of stuff. It's 15 frames. It deals on normal hit it deals 24 damage. On, as you can see there, on counter hit it deals 30 damage. So it out prioritizes a lot of stuff. And of course, Every time it hits on counter hit, you can get a free like launcher combo. So I know a lot of Ionis abuse this move because it's just that freaking good. So as a tip for fighting Ioni, learn how to punish this move. Same thing. If you end up blocking it, you can strike punish it as long as you don't think she's gonna do that. So, but yeah, try and find your type of move with that. Like for someone like Kasumi, she has her 3-3P. She also has like 7K. Although I admit that using high crush launchers in this way is almost equivalent of using like a DP in like 2D fighters. So I mean, so this is more kind of high risk, fairly good reward moves. I mean, I wouldn't quite say high reward. Like something like Ioni's 4P plus K on counter hit would be, for instance, would be high reward. But the main thing about these moves is that in general, these moves should be hidden a lot more often than they're getting blocked. And of course, if the opponent doesn't know how to punish it, then you could basically abuse these moves even more. So yeah, when you're going through your character's move list, see what a good high crush launcher is. Hint, it's usually 3-3P for a lot of characters. Also, see what a good low crush is for your character. Like Ioni's 9K is kind of nice. Only -7 on block, so you can usually do like a little like fuzzy guard or kind of like buffer like a throw break or anything like that. Because at -7. Like, -7 general is unless you're fighting a grappler with a 6-frame throw, you can't really get punished that much for -7. I mean, yes, your turn is over, but the worst an opponent can do is try and neutral throw you, which can be broken. They don't really necessarily do that much damage on, like, normal hits. So, yeah, I mean, like, see what's a good low crush for your character. And I might as well just give away another hint right now. For Kasumi, it's her 9K. When you're thinking of risk reward, it can also be quite matchup dependent also. For instance, let's say if you're playing against someone like Christy. Alright, her offensive strike potential is really good, so she's really good at keeping opponents on the defensive. However, her throws are not, as you can see, both her throws and holds are not very good. So what that means is that you can use holds a little bit more liberally against her, compared to, let's say, someone like Bass, who can punish you really hard for misusing holds or for doing unsafe moves and stuff like that. But Christy can't really punish punish unsafe moves as well as like the grappler characters like a Tina, Bass, like a La Mariposa. So with Christy, you can like kind of use holds or kind of unsafer moves a little bit more freely. I don't mean that you should play unsafe against her, but you definitely against Christy would take a little bit more risks than, for instance, like let's say someone like Bass, or you want to try and keep risks taken to a relative minimum and just want to play like a really solid, safe, fundamental style against them. But also, if you play against someone like a Kasumi or like a Nico or probably other kind of like relatively fast characters, and if you can keep Christy on the defensive, that will definitely kind of help you out a bit in that matchup. But with Christy, what you also kind of want to do is practice what I call reactive string holding. Same with also Kasumi, which is just being able to hold their strings on reaction. Like with Bass or like Tina, it's not as important because you just really don't want to misuse holds against the grappler, or they will just ruin your life for doing so. So any of like the heavyweight characters, like grapplers, they tend to have really strong throws. Or even Diego has like really strong throws. Alright, there's one more thing I want you to kind of keep in mind with regards to risk reward. I'm just using Hitomi as an example here, but what I wanted you to keep in mind is also kind of like stage position. Kind of like with my environmental optimization section. Your risk reward changes whether your opponent is in open space or at the wall. For instance, with Hitomi, she has a couple moves which are called Death Fists, quarter circle forward punch there, or 4-6P right there. These moves are technically unsafe on block at -9, but with 24 recovery frames or 25 recovery frames, that's decent. I mean, that's fairly decent recovery. So, and also the moves are very fast. Like Death Fist number 1 of the high 4-6P is 12 frames. The mid punch 2-3-6P is 15 frames. But the thing about this move is that in open space, they knock the opponent away like really well. But as soon as you have them in a corner, they basically become a potent combo starter. And you can get like a lot of damage for doing so, and even have a close hit property because, like, why not? So what I want you to do is try to see if you have like a good kind of wall slam move with your character. Like I already told you right now with Hitomi there, death fits are really good wall slam moves, and I think in my character guides I usually go over like good kind of like wall slamming moves. But essentially a good wall slamming move is just such a powerful combo starter. So when the opponent has their back to the wall, all of a sudden these are the moves they have to worry about, as opposed to just worrying about like launchers, for instance. Anyways, if you have any further questions, feel free to contact me on my YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, so that means leaving a comment down below. You can also contact Force of Nature on freestepdodge.com, and be sure to check out my other top tier tips advanced guides and my character guides, and I'll let you know that I am still going along with the character guides, but the characters left are a little bit more challenging. And if you'd like to support this channel, feel free to join Top Tier Fighters. The support does help, and I do appreciate it. Anyways, this is Force Nature signing off. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time on Top Tier Tips.